Hey everybody, welcome back to another Factional Fight update from Griffith's car. Here I am driving him to work, and I'm gonna speak a little bit about what's on my mind and what's been going on in Worm. So we just got a news update, pretty big one, that all this, like, there's been a couple things going on in the background, one of which was a horse color poll. They asked the community which color horses they would prefer, and these are all models that were created by Milena, or Catspur. She had a big poster of a whole bunch of different horses, and people decided on what their favorite one was, and so 5 new horses were picked and put into the game in this update. I think that just happened yesterday. Very excited to get my hands on one of the black silvers. They look so cool. My question about these horse colors, actually before we get to my question, there was another thing mentioned in the update, in the news, and that was that Saruman has been working on recoloring the hens and the roosters. And so there's a picture of black hens, red speckled hens, and brown hens, and roosters of the same color, and that is so cool. Like that, I guess the new horse colors got Saruman inspired to try his hand at recoloring other animals. And we've also gotten black sheep in the past, and this sort of seems like it's opening the door for a wider variety of looking animals, like colored animals. So black cows, that comes to mind, like the dairy cows. The possibilities are limitless. You can go to the extremes here. So I'm really excited that this is being added. So my question is this hinting at, or at least moving towards a, what do you call it? I guess an update to the animal husbandry system, or to just the animal system as a whole. I think it's long overdue. It is something that we've been discussing here and there, just like little bits. Like, for example, animal taming could use some work. Animal husbandry, like in the sense that, sure, like even with horses, the trait system is pretty in-depth, but it still could be improved upon, I'm sure, because currently the strategy is to get 5 speed traits and then as many other positive traits as you can afterwards. But there is one best option for horses, and the best option is get all 5 speed traits, period. And there's no sort of customizability to this formula. What I'd like to see is something where you're trying to get traits, but for a specific purpose. Like, for example, there could be traits associated with pulling carts better, faster, or being able to pull more weight. But I feel as though it should be something where each horse is better at something than another. Do you know what I mean? So one horse might be better at pulling carts at a faster speed, whereas other horses would be able to ride faster when you're solo riding them. These sorts of things. And then, in addition, I think that this trait system should transfer over to other animals, especially for what they're useful for. So, for example, sheep could be given a trait where they grow more wool. For example, they provide more yield on the wool. Or both sheep and cows could be given a trait that allows them to produce more milk. Right? Things that would increase the usefulness of the animals as they currently already are. Bison could be made more useful for pulling wagons. Like, I know that when bison were entered into the game, there was sort of a, their purpose, not entered into the game, I guess, but there was work done to make them. It was when wagons were entered into the game That's what it was. When wagons were entered, bison were given a trait that allowed them to pull wagons at a much faster speed, which was great and all, except for the problem is that you can't equip bison with any, animal gear. So while you can go ahead and breed yourself a 5-speed bison and it's going to pull wagons pretty fast. I don't think that it pulls that. Let's say 4 5-speed bisons. I don't think that they pull a wagon as fast as 4 5-speed horses that are fully geared. Do you know what I mean? So bison still weren't, the best option, I guess. The best option is to fully gear 5 horses. And then one thing that I was finding was hard was managing all the different animals. So if you want to have bison pulling your wagons and you want horses pulling your, carts or, just horses to ride on, then you have to breed both types of animals. And it didn't seem like there was any incentive to breed bison because I could just breed horses and then fully gear them, and they are the same as bison, pretty much. I'd like to see I'd like to see bison get a little bit more, so that bison is the clear winner in that competition of pulling wagons. I'm sure that there's all sorts of other things I'm not thinking about. There could be a huge expansion on the whole animal system in the game of Worm altogether, and I'm sure that this, because animals sort of like are huge influences on the entire game as a whole, that a rework of that system could touch almost every aspect of the game. That's just my thoughts. You could take that one pretty far. I'm sort of imagining a Titch-like approach to this sort of thing, where the entire system gets revamped and it completely affects not only animals but other elements of the game. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the animal stuff. I'm really happy to see the reskins, and that is sort of like one good step in the right direction. The reskins is kind of like an update where you can imagine, like, maybe with this update you'll see those reskins, but there's no new functionality. But it sort of paves the way for new functionality to be entered into the game after, a while. For example, you see a reskin of the horses the last round, and we've been told, I don't know how true this is, that the Ebony Black had an extra trait, a hidden trait. Now these extra traits could be programmed in after the fact. Like, they could be coming in it could be part of a new full rework of the entire system. So, the fact that it's getting coded in, or, we're getting reskins now, makes me very hopeful for how they might address animals in the future. So another thing that was announced in the news was that they're starting another contest, I guess. Another contest, which is great. I like these contests. Joelle has come in as the community relations coordinator assistant community relations officer, coordinator. I can never remember the name of the title, but she ran a competition on the Worm Online Facebook page, I guess, to get more publicity there, and they announced the winners in the news, and then they announced another competition which was on the forums. I guess they want to see if they can catch more people that way, and it's asking the question, what inspires you in Worm Online? I think I might enter this one, just because I think that this one has some good depth to it. I think the problem with the last one was that I couldn't really think of a particular memory, and you know, at the same time I was busy at work, so I wasn't really in the right mindset to be creative. So, but I think things are easing off now, and we can spend a little bit of time thinking about what inspires me in Worm. So, just an initial thought about that. I love going over to a member of my alliance's deed. Her name is Luna Do. She has this one, and I've been on to her deed on our stream a few times now. It was that deed that Brian and I ran through maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and she always does some insanely creative things to get some interesting effects in terms of decoration. Every time I go over there, it sparks something in me and inspires me to make something. So we went over there just before we announced, or sorry, just after we announced the fact that we were doing this decoration contest. And I wanted to go over there just to get some inspiration, and boy did I ever. Her deed was completely redecorated since the previous time that I went there, and it was just phenomenal. One thing that I learned from just looking through her deed is that you can do a lot with very little space in Worm. So way back, I remember learning that you can get, like, for example, like spaces between buildings. If you get a one tile sort of alleyway between two buildings, or a 2-tile alleyway or pathway between two buildings, you can make that 2 tiles or even 1 tile look like a nice road, like a, I don't know how to describe it, but I always see before that I always put so much space between buildings. I put tons of space, and for some reason I felt like that was the best optimal way to go. But I remember building building a couple buildings in Winter's Night, and I put 3 or 4 tiles between, like as a road between 2 buildings, and I was struggling with trying to make that space look even half decent. It just felt too large. And then I go over to her deed, and she has 1 tiles between all of her buildings, or 2 tiles at most, and she makes 2 tiles feel like a huge road. So when I went to make the Factional Fight village, I stuck with that sort of philosophy. 1 tile alleyways, 2 tile roads, and it just turned out phenomenal. So this time, one thing that I noticed that she did was she was able to take a 1 tile space and turn it into what looked like a dining room, like a full-fledged dining room. It had like cabinets, it had a dining table, it had, you know, rugs and everything. It just looked like a dining room, and it was all on 1 tile. So this is inspiring me in our current project to decorate our basement building, to make smaller spaces that are purely decorative within the larger space. So I'm thinking of how I can incorporate this, and I'm going to make a tailoring room. I'm going to make a tailoring room, and I'm going to try my best to try to make the work area, like the station, the workstation, a 1 tile space, and that the rest of the room, which is going to be a few more tiles maybe, I'm going to make the rest of the room sort of like a shop looking place. It'll have like a counter, it'll have some shelves with some things that indicate that this is a tailoring place. So yeah, I got very uninspired. I think I'm going to head over there a couple more times, just to look at the little details that she adds in, especially when I get around to adding the decorations. Currently, we are in the phase of just building the walls, and this phase is taking a while, mostly because I'm keep rejigging my design. I really should just sit down with the design and finalize that before doing any more construction. I just don't seem to have the time these days. As I said, work was busy. Although things are easing off right now, so I will have a little bit more time to invest in this project. So looking forward to that. There was one other thing. Actually, there's two other things I wanted to mention about the news. One was, it was announced that they are going to add Libila to Freedom in this Priest update, which is going to come out hopefully before Christmas, they announced. Which really throws everything up in the air for me, because I said on a previous stream that if they do that, I have to switch to Libila. And I really think that I'm gonna have to switch to Libila. My Navjo is gonna become a Libila priest if they do this. They did mention that they're going to do this in stages, and they're going to leave out a few things, like for example, mycelium is not going to come to Freedom at first, which is understandable. I know that mycelium is something they need to sort of figure out, because it's all based on kingdom influence, which there are no kingdom influences on Freedom. I'm sure that they can figure out something that makes sense, that where mycelium can be brought to Freedom, which I'd love to see that, by the way. Especially if there's a way, they added currently a way to switch back and forth between mycelium and back to grass with another spell. So that's just really cool. I'm really excited for that change, and I look forward to experimenting with being a Libila priest. So yeah, that's super, super, super exciting. Thank you to whoever decided to do that and to put effort into switching that over. So that's awesome. And then the last thing was, what was the last thing? I had it a moment ago. There was the Libila priest stuff, and oh yes, there was a really mysterious thing going on here. I can't remember if it was in the news or if I saw it somewhere else. Now that I think about it, it was definitely being mentioned on the Worm Online Discord server. Something related to a new deed that Retro has founded, called Haven something. Can't remember the name of it exactly, but it had the word Haven in it. I know that because our alliance's capital is called New Haven Bay, and then there's a Haven Heights as well. So I just remember that word Haven is also in that name, and it seemed like it was just like dropped, like Retro has founded a new deed, like something like that. And I think Sindusk mentioned on the Worm Online Discord server that, and I don't know, like it's so hard to tell if like they're being sarcastic or if they're being purposely hyping. They're purposely hyping this thing, because they're making it sound like it's super, super big, a big deal, but there has been no indication about what that big deal is. I think in Sindusk's words, he was saying this may be the most important deed in Worm Online. So that sort of comment makes you go, what could he mean by that? That it's the most important deed. He said a few other things that might have hinted it, but I couldn't decipher it, really. So I'm going to keep my ear to the floor. I'm going to keep reading and seeing if I can pick out any more clues as to what this might be and what it might mean for Worm Online. But you guys should do the same. Look out for what this is, what this might be, and try to piece it all together. And if you figure it out, let us know, because I'm really excited to see what it is. Part of me wants to get super excited because of the way that they're hyping this up, that it could be something really cool. But on the other hand, I don't want to be disappointed, so I don't want to bring my hype level way up to the top, only to find out it was only like kind of neat. You know what I mean? So I'm still in that mode of, do I hype myself up? Do I get super duper excited about this and potentially get disappointed? Or do I just leave my level of excitement sort of in the mid-range, which is where I'm at right about now. I'm going to read more clues though. I'm excited to learn more. That's what I'm excited for. So I'm going to read some more clues and hopefully create more hype in around this. Now, as far as streaming scheduling goes, I, like usual, have not hammered down a date and time for a stream this week. Last week, I know I had mentioned that I don't really like Sundays, although Sunday sort of turned out to be the day again. And the reason for that was that on Friday, I completely lost my voice. My voice was completely gone. And Saturday, it was like barely there. Even on Sunday, the stream, I was struggling. Although I really had a lot of fun on the stream. The conversation was really engaging, for me anyway. I hope it was for you as well. And you know, I look forward to you know, getting back at it and doing some more building and decorating. I didn't do any more adding to the building structure, but I did collect some clay and I did start making some mortar, and I'm going to order some mortar as well, but I wanted to, you know, spend some time making some mortar. It's a easy, sort of like a good task to do while working on other things as well, such as work and things. Yeah, mortar's a pretty chill activity in Worm. So yeah, that's I think I'm gonna get back to building on the stream and getting that, you know, design all finalized. That's something I need to sort of work out in my head before the stream. So my hope is that the stream is going to be on Saturday, which is tomorrow. But I'll have to double check with Brian. I'll have to double check with my own schedule, double check and make sure that everything is good to go for that day. If not, it may just end up being Sunday as the day, even though it's not ideal for me. It might just end up being that's the day. So I'll let you guys know in the Discord and as well on the forums. And until then, keep on worming, get that hype up, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.